Welcome to the Business Unscripted podcast. We're here to share real-life insights, practical strategies, and the honest lessons that we have learned from our own mistakes because, frankly, we have been in your shoes. So whether you need help with operations, accountability, financial knowledge, sales, or maybe just getting your mindset right, we are here, and this is the right spot for no-fluff conversations and tools that work. So grab your favorite cup of joe. Let's jump into the show. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's another Friday. And it's your favorite two ugly mugs in the morning. Dave and Dwarren are here for another episode of the Business Unscripted podcast. So hope you're having a wonderful week. We don't have any guests today, but we had a good episode. We did tell you, I think, 3 weeks ago now, we wanted to talk about Notebook LM. So Notebook LM is going to be the main focus of our episode today. If you haven't used it, you're sleeping on something here. I think there's a lot of great and amazing uses for it. And if you have, maybe you're going to hear a couple things today that you haven't known that you can use the platform for. So, but Dwarren, let's grab your favorite cup of joe and let's definitely jump into the show. So, welcome. How was your week, man?
It's been a solid week. And it's a good thing that we're your intro. I love that. My mother always said I had a face for radio. And that doesn't mean very much these days because they bloody do video on radio. But back in the day when she said that, there was a different meaning behind that.
For sure. I would say I don't even know if I have a voice for radio, but I definitely don't have a face. But that's okay. I've gotten comfortable in front of the camera. I just think I don't look at myself. On the Zoom, I try to turn off like the self view. Because I don't want to see myself that way, but
no, I totally get it. It's one of the. It's actually interesting. It's one of the most awkward things for people to talk on camera, right? And to make it feel like you're natural. And we look at actors and TV presenters. We think, oh wow, they make it look so easy. The amount of effort and work that goes into it to feel like that is incredible. So anyone who gets in front of a camera and talks and goes online and does whatever they do, power to you because there's a bit of work for that.
And I would say, too, that's probably the biggest limiting factor to people just getting started doing video or to doing any sort of like social content, video content online or to prove their expertise but it's the biggest thing now, in the day of AI that we're in, right, where everybody now can just print a script, right, turn their AI clone and they can make a long-term form content. I think now these live type videos are the number one if in business to show your expertise and to kind of build those relationships with your audience because you can't fake live, right? I mean,
it's real,
I'm sure
man.
Down the road there will be a way to do it where you can create your AI clone to just go live and have conversations, but for now you can't. Like these are the best ways to build. So.
Oh, look, and absolutely, and we'll get into like some AI and podcast stuff later as we get into this episode because there's some stuff that we can talk about there, but I think you're 100% right. You've got to be willing to understand that to stand out now, you've got to be unique and raw and real. And AI, anyone can do that. And it kind of gets a little bit old. Like the amount of AI content I see, I just scroll past it. I don't care how good your content is. I'm just scrolling past it. I'm looking for some real human connection when I'm watching something nowadays.
Right.
And I'm looking for it.
And I guess when you do it, your focus should be from like the storytelling approach, right? The how-to videos. That's what AI should be used for. Like, hey, give me the step-by-step on how to do that. Great, AI can do that 100%. But like talking through specific examples, through situations and scenarios in your business and your realm, like that's where you're gonna shine if you're gonna do live videos or if you're gonna do any sort of videos in general. Like talking through those scenarios is what's really gonna make it work. So
AI has its place, but there's parts where you want that human connection, that human interaction, and that is going to shine through, especially in this age of AI and technology and automation. If you can take the time to have a real conversation with someone. I just got off a phone call earlier today, and a client was telling me that an MSP that he was talking to was looking to implement a fully AI automated phone system that would take the first line of support calls, log the ticket, triage the ticket and send it to the team member, And he was really excited. He's like, oh, it's going to save me so much money. That's like a whole tech I don't have to have on my team. And it's like, but you lose that personal touch. And not everyone's going to want to deal with those AIs.
Yeah, I mean, there's places for AI in customer service. Like, I get it. Like, you might actually get better responses from AI than you would some customer services reps. You know what I mean? And get to your answer quicker sometimes. But again, if it's in your sales process, that I think that's the part that I don't know. We're probably losing. There's definitely efficiencies in it. I get it, but if you're trying to do everything AI in your sales process or your onboarding process, I think you're missing out.
Yeah, I think so. Keep some real human touch to it.
Right.
There's you're going to see stuff that AI is not going to see.
Right.
AI is not going to have that same level of emotion that you can add to things. And there's a few things that you're going to find are missing. And it's not going to be totally obvious for everybody. But yeah, I've started following people and they're on LinkedIn and all their stuff is AI. Like everything is AI. There's no real video. There's no real voices. It's just all AI. And it gets very noisy because that's what's everywhere.
Right.
So I think take a break. AI is great. I'll be one of the biggest advocates for it, but it has its place. And you'll hear later, like we'll be talking about things that we're doing with AI to save our time, improve things that we're doing with Notebook LM. But
I think that's the thing. Like, AI its use is not in it shouldn't be your forward, right? It's not going to be your story in your business unless you're about helping people implement it. I get it. But even then, there still should be you giving the use cases, you breaking down how you're creating it, how you're using it, how people can implement it, not full AI video and think that it's going to make you the next multimillionaire. AI is going to be used to help you in your efficiency, your operations, your systems. That's where now you as an individual business owner, right, can literally grow and do exponentially more than you can if you were trying to do it with a team or you're trying to do it all by yourself. So that's where AI, not in your video creation, not anything. I think ultimately in your content, it's got to be you. You have to just get out there and do it. I think so.
That's it.
So with that, I think there was one other thing we wanted, like pre-show, right? You were saying a big pet peeve of yours, and it's funny because I shared the pet peeve too. So I think it's good that we talk about it, and then we'll kind of dive into Notebook LM for the rest of the session. But give it to me, man. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, look, I absolutely detest when people cancel a meeting either after it started or within 5 or 10 minutes of a meeting starting. If you're going to do it, give me at least an hour's notice. Especially, it's just, if I find it very disrespectful when it happens over and over with the same people as well.
Right.
You get to that point where you are making sure that you are going to the effort of putting that time into your calendar and blocking that out.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody goes and does that, it's like saying your time doesn't matter. My time's more important, especially when they're like, hey, can we push the meeting back an hour? And it's like, well, no, I can't. Actually, I've got another meeting sitting on the other side of this.
It's like, was that meeting time available when you booked this meeting? Oh, no, it's because I already have something going on, sir. I'm sorry. Or ma'am.
Exactly. There's legitimate reasons for doing it. There's a couple
things I do for that, right, on my end, right? So one, the rescheduling or the cancel link, I turn off 2 hours before my meeting starts. So that way they can't do it. And if they do, they have to actually reach out to me. And then the second thing I've actually started implementing is I actually charge you to book on my calendar right now. So if you're a new prospect, it's $29 to book on my calendar. And I put at the bottom of it, right, if you no-show, you forfeit, right, the $29. Or, but if I don't give you value, because it's a consultation, right, I'm going to, give you some insights. If you don't feel like you've gotten $29 worth of value for the 30 minutes, 45 minutes we've been in conversation with, I'll give you the $29 back. But I know that I'm going to give them that $29 of value, but at least it locks them in to, well, if they no-show, at least I'm going to get $29 for my 15 minutes of time I sat in the meeting waiting for them. You know what I mean? So I would suggest doing something like that. Maybe it's not $29, maybe it's $10. But it's then it can be applied depending on whatever you're doing. the idea is now you're protecting your time too, because you as
With new
business owner,
people, I totally agree. I think that's brilliant. What would you do though if it was somebody who you meet with on a regular basis and it's probably too much familiarity involved and there's a bit of a disconnect on value of time from the other parties?
it's a good scenario. I think you have that a lot, whether it's a client that you're worried about not losing because they're the ones that keep changing. I would say the approach should be you notify, like, just make them aware, right? Like, hey, is everything okay? Like, do we have to change the day? Do we have to change the time? I seem like the last 3 or 4 meetings you've like either canceled at the last minute. Like, is something else going on? Is this not a priority for you right now? Like, do we have to change direction? And let them go from there. Maybe they don't even realize that they've done it 4 weeks in a row because they're probably just as busy and they're not seeing it. They just see here and now because they're so busy and they don't realize that they did the same thing the last 3 weeks. So by bringing it to their attention and saying, hey, by the way, like, is this a bad time? I've noticed that you've over the last 3 sessions have had to cancel or have asked to change the time. Like, do we need to move it so that it's a better priority or that it's been better availability for you? I think that would be your best approach when trying to talk to those either partners or clients who keep not respecting your calendar.
And if it's your wife, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
I don't have a solution for the wife's question. Okay, so like I have 2 exes, 2 ex-wives, and I guess there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? So
there is no relationship advice coming on this podcast, in case you're wondering, guys.
We're not going to give relationship advice on this podcast. That is for sure.
I love that. So on a serious level, you actually raised something interesting there. Just because you are feeling that way about the situation, you're right. The person on the other end who's doing it may not even be aware that it's a habitual habit of theirs. They may not be aware that it's affecting anyone else.
Right.
It may not be intentional, and I'm sure like a lot of the time it's not. So I think just asking the question as to why is probably a great way to start that conversation and just bringing an awareness to it. I think that's a really mature thing to do, honestly. Sure. And a lot of us, I guess, are just a little bit concerned about upsetting the apple cart by doing that, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, Brandon, how are you, buddy?
How we doing?
I like the dog, or is that a panda? It's a panda. So,
I think it's a panda, man. That's
a panda. I think ultimately it comes down to a lot of small business owners are afraid to lose a client. And ultimately, you can't. You're there to partner with them, or you're there to service them, to help them. And if they constantly change and they don't respect your time, and you could have serviced another client, or you could have, redirected, or maybe you were in the middle of something and you had to stop doing something you were being productive on to have this meeting, and then now they don't show up. Now it just takes you that extra time to get back into it, So it hurts everybody, not just like your calendar. It hurts them, it hurts you, it hurts other people in your network as well. So like, you have to respect your calendar just as much as you respect them as a client. And I think once you realize that, then you can hit that. So
it's interesting, actually. I've had 4 scenarios in the last week and a bit, which have come up, and one of them was the system that was being used by somebody who booked a meeting with me didn't send the right link. And they're like, I'm like, I'm in the meeting. Where are you? Oh, I'm in the meeting. I can't see you. They sent me the right link. Turns out there was a problem with their system. We ended up getting some work out of that to fix it. That was great. We ended up fixing the problem. Another one, I was meant to be doing an onboarding session with a software company, and the Zoom link was broken. When I reached out to their support team, sorry, that's another team. I can't get in touch with them. I suggest you rebook.
What?
And it's like,
oh
what?
Man, it blows my mind.
Like that's a weird one. And then I've had to. I woke up the other day without a voice. You can hear my voice a bit hoarse today. And I had a meeting late in the afternoon, which is quite an important meeting in person. So 6 hours ahead of that meeting, I got straight on the phone and messaged the guys, hey, look, I'm just not going to be able to make it. can barely talk right now. Can we reschedule? He's like, yeah, no worries. You've been talking too much. Rest your voice. Next Tuesday, let's do it. If you give enough notice, most people are going to be cool with it. And that's how I like to play. This morning, I had a meeting cancel on me, and they gave me plenty of notice and then told me why. Their CFO wants to be on the meeting as well because there's a big financial decision to make, and he wants to be a part of it. And I was like, great. Tell me what time you're going to work, and we'll just reschedule that in for you. But again, gave me like 6 hours notice so I could plan for that. I could do something else. What people don't realize is behind every calendar invite, there's a person who's putting something off to be there for you.
Right.
And like, it's very important. I had a meeting this week at like 11:30 p.m. my time back to Canada. And I was on this call and I could see it was going nowhere. And I made a few suggestions. And I could see it was just, there wasn't much to be done. I put in what I could do as far as an offer and said, look, think about that. We can come back to it. And I was trying to end the call, and I kept getting random questions about irrelevant things to the business matters. And in the end, I was like, hey, look, you know what? It's 12:30 in the evening. I'm going to have to end the call. I've got to get some sleep. I've got an early morning meeting coming up. And it was at that moment I could see, even though we had mentioned the time earlier on in the day, in the call, there was a realization on his face when he was like, oh, I'm keeping you up. I'm so sorry.
Yes,
and
for
like,
sure.
Go to bed. And it was like one of those scenarios, right? And it's exactly what you said. People don't realize that they're doing these things sometimes. So I think we've got to be aware, like, it's like
just
a
be
child.
gentle with it. I mean, you don't have to be like harsh. Oh my God, I noticed you've canceled 4 meetings now. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, that's not how you're going to get across to them, right? Just be soft. Hey man, hey Jane, you know, I noticed you just canceled our meeting for today. I noticed it's happened the last 3 or 4 meetings. You know, is now this day still good for you, or is this still priority for you? Is it something that maybe you want to reschedule to another day? Is something going on that maybe we need to shift directions with? Whatever. Like you said, just make them aware of that, what you've noticed. And this is how you improve any type of relationship, right? And this, I guess, can be the only relationship advice I'll give is, right, gentle and make them aware of what you're seeing, not blaming, right? Not saying, I can't believe you canceled another meeting, right? This is the 4th meeting in a row. What are you doing? Like that, they're going to be defensive. They're going to feel attacked. But if you're doing it from their perspective, right? You're doing it to partner with them, right? To help them by saying, you know, hey, I've noticed that this has been occurring. Is something else going on that we need to shift a little bit to help you? Or do we need to adjust to help you? Like, that's the ultimate, because now they're going to feel like you're a partner. They're going to feel like they're being supported. They're not going to feel like they're being attacked for having to change the meetings. And so approach it from that angle, and you'll see that it's going to be exponentially easier, and the approach will be well accepted. So,
because I mean, look, and the other thing on the flip side, we don't know what's happening on their side. It could be that originally the meeting that we all scheduled and we were all agreeing to, something's changed. Maybe they've got to go and pick the kids up now. Maybe they've got to go and get the car serviced, you know, every couple of months. Who knows? But there could be something. And if we don't ask, I guess we don't know, right? So I like that. I think that's clever. I think that's simple.
There you go. I know you have somebody that you're probably going to try that on. So I'm interested to hear how that approach goes and how it you know, kind of is responded to, because I think it'll be well.
Gentle, right? Gentle. I like that.
All right. So I know we're 20 minutes in, so I think that's a good sort of intro show. So if you're here or you're watching a replay, let's transition into Notebook LM. And so if you are not aware, high level, Notebook LM is obviously a product and one of Google's AI platforms. And if you've ever used any sort of chatbot, you probably understand that they can hallucinate sometimes. They're trying to pull in from everything that they've learned. And so it's probably been frustrating. I know I've been frustrated a multitude of times from hallucinations and always having to double check. It's gotten better over time, obviously. But if you like think back to when ChatGPT first came out, I mean, you always had to check the links that it said it went to, because they weren't even links; they were just making it up.
Find your source.
Right. Like, give me your source, and then you go to it. It says 404 error. It's like, oh, okay. How did you actually get the information out of there? Sorry, you made it up. But
I just
so
made that shit up. Sorry.
Notebook LM, and even since Notebook LM has come out, it's made a lot of shifts and move forward. But high level, Notebook LM is a place for you to gather all of your sources, whether you have like favorite YouTube videos that you'd like to watch, whether you have PDFs that you want to pull together, whether you have company knowledge that you just want to refer back to all the time. You can drop these things into a notebook. And now the chatbot that is within that notebook is only restricted to those sources that you give it. So there's no more, no, I'm not going to say there's no more hallucinations, but it drastically eliminates hallucinations because it's only going to the sources that you provide. Now, the additional benefit to that is they added a extra kind of level where once you drop in a bunch of sources, let's say it's a bunch of YouTube videos of, topics that you want to watch, whether it's social media or something like that, right? Now they have a feature where it'll go out and find similar related information to what you already have in that notebook and then suggest you additional things to include that will expand that knowledge base. And then you can select, yes, I want to include these, and one by one. You don't have to include all or nothing, but you can select the ones that you want to include. And then chat with it just like you would any other chatbot. That's step one. That's the basic.
I didn't know that was a feature, actually. That's news to me. I didn't. Yes. And this is why I love these sort of conversations about these tools, because we're always learning from each other and learning from others who are using these tools in different ways. You mentioned about less hallucinations. Here's an interesting point of view. One of the fun features that you can do with this is you can create audio files. You've got the option of what they call a deep dive, which is a conversation between two parties. The brief, which I've been using a lot of, which is like a bite-sized 2-minute sort of shortcut. The critique, which is where it'll just read what you say and then give you feedback on it, right? Good, bad, and the ugly. And then the debate, which is kind of like a deep dive, but it's a little bit more back and forth on two different angles and perspectives. Now, interestingly, I've been trying this and doing deep dives, which are about 15 minutes long, roughly, normally, depending on your content. And I'll put in 5, 6, 3, whatever documents in at the time, depending on what I'm doing. And then I'll listen to it. And sometimes you don't realize, even though you thought you had the perfect content, you don't realize necessarily that the way it's being interpreted is very, very different. I was on a call with a client and I'd created all her documentation, sent it across to her. She loved it. She thought it was great. I used the same documentation to make an audio file deep dive. And she goes, you know what was the most insightful thing that I found from that audio file, besides it sounding like a natural conversation between two podcasters? She said, I didn't realize people saw me that way. It makes me realize I need to change some of the things I'm doing so I get seen differently.
Right.
Now, that I was really surprised by that. So I jumped in and started playing. And what I realized that if you start prompting it for an outcome, you actually can get it to use your material to give you a bias outcome, just like with any other platform. So yes, you've got your own facts in there, but you can tell it to focus on the positives and ignore the negatives, or focus on the negatives and ignore the positives.
Well, but here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people know that you can also do with a notebook is that you can still give it custom instructions.
Yes.
So that's the one thing I would. So if you
everything.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't have a media. This is why I guess I didn't plan to share my screen for this one, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen here. Right, me and you are off the screen for a minute. So this is a notebook that I created because I like Dan Martelli, right? And let me do this a little bit. Let's do. Sorry, y'all. You guys have to deal with a minute with me to kind of figure this out. Live episode. This is, I guess, when you go live and you're not really planning. So We want to do media below it. So let's do this.
I've got one
All
up
right.
if you need
so
to.
Here
as well.
we go. We just don't get an overlay for this one. So this is one where I like Dan Martelli. So when I find a video or I watch a video that I enjoy, I drop it, I copy it, and I drop it in here. Okay. The beauty of this is that this is grabbing the full transcript from it. It goes out, it grabs the full transcript. Now, the one thing I think a lot of people don't realize, if you do like a Google Drive doc or you do anything like that into your notebook, it's only taking it as of that time. So it's not going to refresh it. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, there is a tool. I have this tool that is added on. It is called Cortex. And this is a Google extension that actually will allow you to do a bunch of other things that, it's made specifically for Google Notebook. And it will allow you to actually upload and refresh Google Docs. So this button here where it says sync all Google Doc sources, it'll sync everything again. So if you've updated anything like that, it'll sync them, it'll refresh it, give it the new transcript or whatever's in those files. Just a notification. But I highly suggest this right now. It's like, I think I paid $47 lifetime for an account. So I never have to pay ever again. And I mean, I know I'm going a little off tangent here, but it allows you to manage all of your notebooks, and it's not specific to just the one notebook that you sign it up for. Like, it'll detect any notebook that you have in that Google profile that you have it logged in under. And you can then manage your notebooks here. Like, you have all your different notebooks here. You can actually merge notebooks. If there's two things that maybe you've been working on two different things and you want to merge them, you can do things here. You can manage, you can actually turn your podcast into an actual a feed from this page. So instead of it being like you have to download it and figure it out, like you can actually create a podcast feed here for any of the episodes and then listen to it, download it however you want. You can do bulk importation. So let's say you have a bunch of tabs open and there's a bunch of things you've been researching. Instead of trying to copy each one individually, you can come in here and take all of your browser tabs and import them as one in links. So it'll go back out and fit. So highly suggest it. I don't even have an affiliate link. I know there's an affiliate link, but I don't have it, so I don't care. But it's for you guys watching, like if you're using Notebook LM, Cortex, Kortex, you have to download it. I bought in the lifetime, like I said, it's only $47 lifetime right now, or whatever I think it was. But
share the link in the description, maybe.
Yeah, I'll find the link and I'll share it in the description for sure. But going back to this notebook, let's say you only want it to, give you feedback, but you've mentioned it before, right? So you said, hey, I want you to always question or, give me 2 or 3 additional thinking points so that you're not just a yes person. So what you can do up here in configure, this is where you're going to have your own style and you can just go with default. So it's just going to be the default of whatever Google Notebook kind of goes into. Let's say you want to do a learning guide. So if maybe you have your kids and you're giving them context around school topics, this can actually be more of an explainer course of what's going to happen with the output. Or you can give it then custom instructions. And this used to be limited to like 2 sentences of the instructions. Now you have 10,000 characters, just like any other sort of chat GPT or chat Gemini custom instruction. Now you can give it fully drawn out custom instruction. So if, I can type in here, act as a thought partner. If you guys get to see my typing skills. And when responding, always present 2 topics that I may not have thought of. And never just agree to agree. Question my focus and goals to ensure they are aligned, right?
And see, guys, also one thing to know while Dave's doing this, one thing that I like to do is I'm a terrible typer as well. So I use the dictation mode in Gemini or in ChatGPT, and I'll just talk in there. And then what I will do is I'll say, make this a prompt that I can use for Notebook LM, etc. And it'll format it in a really clear, precise way that I can then go and improve my initial 1 or 2 sentences I'm thinking, copy paste that, and drop that in there as my guide as well.
Right. And then, so now I've uploaded it. The other thing you could do is you could tell it, do you want it to be default, longer or shorter, however you want. Like if you want long answers, shorter answers, whatever. So I just saved that. So let's just try something.
Default, and then see what you think. If it's too long, try the shorter. If it's too short, try the longer.
Yep.
That's my suggestion.
Let's just see here. Give me an overview of how I can implement these strategies next week in my.
This is my only pet peeve right now, is that there's no dictation mode in Notebook LM that I found.
Well, then, so I think we've talked about it before. An app, it's called Whisper Flow. So if you are on an Apple, Whisper Flow is a great way to dictate into text, into any text field. So I use that on the regular. What's
interesting though? I was doing a presentation earlier about custom GPT building to a group, and I shared them a little tip that I've come across. I absolutely hate the dictation mode on Android. It just drives me nuts. It's so bad. So what I do is I actually use ChatGPT dictation. I turn it on. I say what I want to say. I end the dictation. Then I copy paste it without hitting the prompt, and then dump it wherever I want on my screen.
Love it.
So I'm using it because it's really good. It's very accurate.
So here's a result, right? Obviously, it's not anything specific, right, to us. It's basically just give me an overview of the videos I put here and how I can implement it. It's gave me a strategy for Monday, Tuesday, gave me a strategy for Wednesday. And now because of the new instruction I gave it, it added 2 additional topics that maybe I haven't thought of that go along with these strategies that now I can think through as well. So you can customize it however you want. Great use. Other here on the right-hand side, right, you already talked about the audio overview. If you just click it, it's going to go to the default, as you mentioned, typical brief, about 14, 15 minutes. But a lot of people don't know you can click the edit button, and this is where all those other options come in. So it's a deep dive of the sources.
Here as well with extra guide.
Yep.
So you
the brief, the critique, the debate, short, long, default, right? If you happen to be wanting to do a different language, it'll be in a different language. But the beauty of this is you can necessarily give it roles as well. One of these specific examples that I have done with the audio focus recently in my business is when I'm giving a proposal or I'm having a follow-up, I will drop that proposal into a notebook and then come in here to do an audio overview and go with a brief and just say, act as a business owner that is in the same industry as this business and give it the background. Come up with the objections, and then in the proposal, use the information in the proposal that then counteracts those objections, and then have it talk about it. So now I can send that along with the proposal. Hey, by the way, here's the proposal information we discussed. I created a short, simple overview, audio overview for you as well, if you want to take a listen to that. And again, it breaks it down. Obviously, you want to listen to it yourself first to make sure that it doesn't say something that it shouldn't. Don't just send it. But it's a great addition piece that you can send. The other way I've used the audio kind of in addition to you is I do the cash flow stories on LinkedIn as my articles. And so every article, I have a cash flow stories notebook, and I drop the article in here. And what you can do is you don't have to always use every single source. You can actually pick and choose which sources you're going to create content on for that particular piece. So let's say I only wanted to build, on how to build systems with AI. I can just click this source, and now I can come back to the audio overview, and it's only going to be focused on that specific source. So like with my articles, I can pick the article that I'm looking to do an audio review on, and then have it create, as you mentioned, a podcast episode based on that article and the topics and the information, give it additional context, right, about what I wanted to cover, what I wanted to overview on, and then add it as an additional layer, because some people may not want to read. Some people may be, driving and they see it pop up on their email, but now because of the way LinkedIn articles work, I make it the top line. That top line is seen on every time somebody opens up an email. So now that audio review is the first thing they see, and then it goes into the article. So somebody can click on that. And again, it just helps to increase kind of that awareness, that viewership. Anything else that you use with like the audio overview, Dwarn, that you typically would do? Or
yeah, with the audio overview, that's what I'm using a lot of at the moment. So for example, today I put together a custom GPT, and it's got about 12 supporting documents that I created as frameworks and playbooks for it, as well as a document explaining what it actually is. All of this is created in ChatGPT. We did it through the 1 hour presentation. And then what I did is I built this custom GPT. I demonstrated it, got an export of the results, and I included that as well. Then I went and dumped it all into a new notebook, and I jumped in and did an audio overview deep dive, and it went through and explained how it interpreted what I built.
Right.
And it was really quite interesting, because what it means now is I can send that along with all the how to build this out, and they know why they're building it. It gave them the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able, and then like the other day, we did it with a proposal for a client as well, where we needed to explain something to them. And we did it again the other day with a staff member. We did an assessment. We took the assessment and then made a 2-minute brief explaining the pros, the focus points to improve on, and the focus points on what they're doing really well as already. And we're able to use that to share to a client and help them understand how to communicate better with that particular staff member.
So that's a good use of the audio, right? You can come in here like with your, your personnel, right, reviews, and turn them into an audio overview. The other thing I want to note on as well before and then we can kind of move into some of these other things and the other benefits, right, and use cases of Notebook LM. But let's say you have a plan like this. So you've created a plan, you've had it giving you the marketing plan, and you don't want to lose it. So you can actually, at the bottom, save these things as notes. And what that does is it creates a note over here on the right-hand side. But now you can turn that note and actually convert it to a source. So now this source is now part of the thinking process of your notebook. If you're a Google Gemini user, right, the beauty of this as well is that you can attach a Notebook LM notebook to any one of your chats or a gem as the knowledge. And so let's say you have your marketing notebook built out with your plan, and you need to figure out on Gemini how you're going to move forward, right? What's your next post? What's your next topic? What's your next sort of, planning strategy? You attach that notebook to that Gemini chat, and now it's actually using your plan because it sees your plan. It's not just making up something new every time. And this is something that why I have pretty much 95% moved away from ChatGPT because of all these interactions and everything, and how everything integrates with Google and the notebooks and all of that. So just one of those things that I just wanted to kind of quickly bring up as well is that once you generate, a plan or any sort of strategy in the chat, turn it into a note, and then take that note and turn it into a source, because now that's going to be stored. And then again, any future conversation is going to go and it's going to use that source or that plan as you're talking with it.
So, I love that. I did not know that. I have not played with the chat functionality on the center screen. 90% of what I'm doing is all based on generating stuff out of the studio.
And well, here's probably a better way to start using the audio as well. Would be, let's, for example, go to, how to build systems. Okay. So now you can see down here, it says one source. So I know I'm only on one source. Craft me a detailed prompt that I can use with the audio generation for this specific episode to captivate, right, the audience and keep it educational. You know what I mean? And so something like that. Obviously, I'm just. Yeah. And so once it creates it, you know what I mean? Like then you take it, you turn it into a note, and then you'll select that with the video, and then go to your audio overview, and then use it that way. You know what I mean? And
so I love that. That is cool.
Because you should always use AI to prompt AI. It's going to give you way more. Like I'm not a marketing person. You're probably not a marketing person in your business. You know what I mean? So take this, right? Turn this into a note. Then turn it into a source. Grab that source with it, obviously, that's the only thing I don't like is it selects everything every time you add something, and then come up here, and then give me a brief, provide me a educational introduction to this video based on, right, the strategy in the note. And it's beauty because these things don't take hours to create. Like they may take like 4 or 5 minutes depending on the length, and
exactly
they're great. All right, so I think we've hit audio. I think one of the ways. So
audio,
yep, reviews of your articles, reviews of your proposals. Ways to kind of break down simply how to communicate with maybe some of your staff based on some reviews, etc. And many other ways that you could potentially use the audio briefs. Now they have video overviews. Video overview right now, it's kind of like pretty plain. I don't necessarily, I've used this one or two times. Same way on a proposal. I take a proposal, I drop it, because for whatever reason, some of these allow you to edit the video overview prompt. So obviously this one doesn't let me edit the video prompt, because if I edit the video prompt, I'm able to then say, same thing, take the proposal, act as, right, whatever you want it to act as, come up with objections.
Click on it, Dave. If you click on it, it now gives you the
function. Now so there's not, okay, so now it gives you the functionality. Okay, they changed this. Okay. Look at that. I'm learning with you. So now you can change.
I'm learning with you, man. This is sweet.
This is awesome. You can change kind of the format, how you want it to look. If you want it to be more of an explainer versus a brief, and then again, give it the facts. Maybe highlight the top 3 or 4 or 5 things that you wanted to touch on in that video, and it'll create. It's more of a slideshow, right? It's taking basically what they would have created probably in the slide deck and putting some audio on top of it. And it's combining basically the audio with the slide deck and creating a video. That's essentially what it's doing. So it's not an actual video where it's like moving generations and all this stuff, but the videos that it creates with the slides, it's pretty good. It's obviously for, looking to time save. It's way better than I would create it myself. I would say that. So
that's funny because I haven't played with it. I just assumed because it didn't have an edit function to it, that was for me to actually do an overview of a video.
Yeah.
So I thought that was how I would do my video overviews. Like give me a breakdown of what a video is. I didn't actually even think that was what it was for, honestly.
And what I've done is I've actually done like this custom here. Like I've actually given it specific instructions specific to like the type of industry that I'm giving the proposal to. So that again, it formulates the images, formulates kind of the construction of the slides to the individual you're trying to target that video towards. So if it's a general explainer video on your, social, who are you trying to hit, right? Who are you trying to target? So if it's like the construction, tell it to be more, like construction building blocks, of the proposal or of the story that you want to tell, and it'll kind of take that into account as it's building that information.
So that is cool.
The other one, mind map, I don't know. I've used this a few times just to look at it, right? Obviously, it will start at a singular point and then obviously expand as the points, kind of go to the right. The only thing I don't like about this one is that it doesn't expand, right? When you go to save it, it doesn't, go into a interactive type file, right? You can only PNG download it wherever you're at. So it's a good thing, I guess, to image, like if you have a flow or anything that you want to, kind of mind map, but it's not expandable in your downloadable file right now. You basically have to download it as a PNG of whatever you're looking at that point.
You have to, it'll only download like if you downloaded that now, that's a snapshot.
Right. It only snapshots what you're seeing.
All of the other ones.
Yeah.
And you have to, and it goes like 3 or 4 layers deep on some.
Depending on like some of these, it'll go deeper, and it's small. Obviously, it doesn't space out well. So I've used it if I'm using it for myself. I've never used this in terms of like sending to anybody. How have you said you use this a lot? What do you use the mind map?
Yeah, I've been using it a lot lately because when we're doing stuff like website explanations for proposals, it actually does a really nice layout for it.
Okay.
So it's nice for that. It's also very handy when you're doing things like trying to explain a Like we did one for a proposal the other day where I was talking about a security and compliance proposal. And what it did is it broke it up into sections and showed what sections were relevant to each part of the phase and the milestones we'd created. So it was quite useful for that. For me, for the sake of hitting the button and seeing what it produces, you can then make a determination whether it's something that's of use for you, which is why I've used it probably 4 or 5 times.
Oh, nice. So that one, play with it as you will. The reports one, I think, is another one that has some room to improve. How I've used this in the past, just to kind of, you can drop in like spreadsheets, Google Sheets, financial statements was another one. And if you want, you can kind of create your own. You can do a briefing of what the overall arching sort of trending or idea would be for, those docs or that proposal. If you're using it in any sort of educational setting, you can do a study guide where it'll take that information and turn it into a study guide, which I think is pretty interesting. It gives you some information. So these suggested formats are based on your sources that you selected. So if you change the sources that you select, it'll change the suggested format. And then again, you can kind of go in here and kind of edit it, give it some, some specific information. We can even say here, like, tailor to the financial services industry and sector, just so it's like more tailored toward you or to your client. And then once it generates that, it'll create a simple report. So while that's generating, have you used reports a lot or no on your end?
I've used it a couple of times. What I tend to do is I kind of like going in there and just seeing what it thinks you could generate from the content that you've got.
Right.
And it gives me ideas. Sometimes it gives me some unique ideas. Sometimes I'm just looking at going, why the hell would I need that? And I think that's normal.
Tells you what you don't need versus what you need.
Exactly, right? I've done the brief a few times with it. I haven't tried the blog. I should try the blog. The thing is, this is such a complex collection of tools that you can output data with. And when you start playing with it, you can really, really go down a rabbit hole.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Now, granted, like, and if you're on a free account, like, you are limited in a lot of these things per day. So like audio overviews, I think you can create like 3 of them per day. Infographics, I think, is something like maybe 3 to 5 a day. But at least it's not like a monthly limit, it's a daily limit. So be intentional. If you are on a free account, be intentional how you're testing it out, and know that you can't do this, across all of your notebooks. It is going to be limited across your account. But they do have a couple, obviously you can scale up and do more if you need to. So here's that report, talks about those two with the paradigm shift, creates, a system with, an actual acronym. It's pretty interesting. Talks about, the North Star, everything from the document. So it's a pretty cool report that, it took 2 minutes, 3 minutes to create, that you can then export, format if you need to, make adjustments if you need to on your own, and kind of make it there. I haven't really used
push it back into a source material if you need to.
And well, you can take this, and then you can kind of turn it into a doc, and then bring that doc in as your source material. It's pretty cool. The flashcards I haven't used as much, but this is because. But if you are in business, maybe you have a lot, employees 5, 6, whatever. You have like a company knowledge base, or you have onboarding that you want to create. You can come in here, put all your onboarding in here, create a set of flashcards, and then you can share those flashcards to your staff to then educate themselves on your company knowledge. And then you can have them sign off that they did it. But then you use the flashcards combined with the quiz function, and now you share the quiz with them, and now you quiz them on those new proposals, those new, processes that are coming out, and now you can actually see how the results are. So those, I haven't used these too much, but those are the use cases that I've helped other people with and seen other people do for the flashcards and the quiz. Obviously, if you're a student.
I made a use case the other day with it, actually. Clients that have new products and services, and they've got all their documentation or new models coming out for their products, can use it for a training tool to train their staff
that's a good one,
on new products.
So you create a notebook for the new product or the new line, and then give them flashcards and give them quizzes so that your team actually understands actually what those new things are and the specifications of the new product. That's actually a good
absolutely. And I'm looking at utilizing. I'm looking at the moment utilizing it for virtual assistant training, where I want to be tailoring some Australian English related ones and some American English related, as well as client information that's relevant to the client and the industry. So I can create quizzes and flashcards that are relevant just to help them become more familiar with the industry and more familiar.
That's actually not a bad idea for the VA industry, right? You like basically make a notebook for their client, for their responsibilities, for their duties that they're expected, and then provide a set of flashcards and quiz based on that client, and then they can kind of figure out, do I understand what I need to be doing or not? So that's a good idea for them.
Yeah, exactly, right. And as we start to introduce new SOPs for clients, I think what we could do is grow that out and have flashcards where if this part of the SOP says this, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And really grow it out. I think it could be a really useful tool for that as a training mechanism, and it's a very tailored LMS style solution. So I'm playing with that. I'm really excited about that function. There's limited time that I've been able to put into it myself at this minute, but I'm going to be getting some staff across it to get them to play with it more. And I think there's a lot of use cases. We had a heavy.
Let me know how that goes. We'll have to check. We'll touch base on touch base.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one example we had was a heavy machinery client who's got a new product line coming out, and they needed to get their sales team across all the updates from a marketing point of view. Right. And they actually introduced the flashcards and the quiz and had all the sales team learning about these new products through it. And being able to quiz them, like, what's the tonnage? What's the weight? Blah, 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 blah. You know, is there any limitations? Is it to Australian standards? Is it to this? So I think it's a really powerful tool if you play with it in the right way.
Well, but it's also a powerful tool too, because once you have that notebook and you share that notebook with your team, if they're now live on a call with somebody, they can go to that instead of having to search through all the documents. They can go and literally type in what the question is, and it's going to tell them. You know,
you're right. It's a personalized chatbot that's available with the information they need. And if you take
the beauty that you don't need, like, let's say you don't want to give them access to the notebook, you know, and we talked about it earlier. What you would do then is you would take that notebook that's got all the product information in it, create then a Gemini gem that has that notebook as its knowledge base, right? Or maybe it's a Google Doc that, you know, as we already mentioned, a notebook is not going to keep fresh in a Google Doc unless they refresh it. But what you can do with a Google Doc is that on Gemini, right? With Gemini, let's say you have a notebook with the product information, and then you have some like, Q&A that you're constantly updating in a Google Doc. Well, you could create a custom gem that has the notebook LM as the background, but it also has the Google Doc. Because with Google Gems, the Google Docs, it's always constantly looking at the newest version when you start a new chat. So that's how you can kind of combine the two. If you don't have like a Cortex, it's going to kind of refresh it. That's how you can combine the two. And now you can just provide that Gemini gem to your team, and they can use that as their kind of information sort of chatbot to say, hey, I have this question. Help me answer it for a client. Or here's an email question from a client. Can you prepare a response for me? Boom. Now it's done. You know,
that's
and now
really clever.
Yeah. So those are some of the interesting things that you can kind of do and kind of combine the Google Docs with your notebooks. If you're not using any sort of tool that's going to help you, because, you know, ultimately you probably don't want them to have access to your notebook because they can make changes and they can do all these things that probably you don't want them to do. So what you can do then is the gem, they can't change, right? They just have access to chat with it. So that's probably your best bet as a business owner, you know, would be to create a custom gem. And custom gems
like
on free accounts
custom
too.
GPT, right? It's the same way we build a custom GPT. The only difference is we're using the knowledge base. We're using a notebook as the knowledge base.
Right. You're basically from ChatGPT combining the custom GPT function with the folder and the product function, or the projects function for ChatGPT. All of it together into one spot that's always going to constantly be updating, right? With a live Google Doc or Google spreadsheet or anything like that, because it could be spreadsheet, anything from your drive you can put in there. So maybe it's a company financial, right? That, you know, is a back end for a client that you're not giving, you know, proprietary data out there, but it's just a financial statement trending. And now you give that to your team, and now they can constantly answer like trending questions or, you know, analysis questions from this gem based on that information. because it's always up to date. And it just makes the idea with this information is not to replace you, it's to make you more productive and more efficient. So if you can get the information, you double check it based on your expertise and your knowledge, you confirm that it's right, you just saved yourself time doing all the work behind it. So
I love it.
That's
Isn't
one
that clever?
Yeah,
I love it.
The last three, and then I know we're kind of getting up on our time here, but infographic is one I've used a ton of. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah.
I love it. Again, you can choose the format, whether it's landscape, portrait, square, however you want to do. Concise or standard have been the ones that I typically have gone with. Detailed, it's detailed. It's going to take a lot of the information you have in there and throw it in there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take
pretty detailed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not even going to change anything here on the detailed, except I just want it to be branded, right? Use my colors. And this is the other thing I say in here is always, use your colors for branding. So come in here and just give it your hex codes, however you want to do it, and it will.
You actually know your hex codes off the top.
I do, because I've done this so many times. And then I'm just going to hit generate, right? The other thing you can do, obviously, is you can then give it more instruction. Like, hey, I want you to focus on these 3 points, or I want you to focus on this objective outcome of this infographic. The other side would be giving it the format that you want it to focus on. So, and this is one I haven't really known much about, but you can be like, hey, I want it to be more of like a whiteboard, and so it'll look like it's on a whiteboard or a chalkboard. Or I want you to, make it look like you're building the building blocks of a home, because I'm talking and I'm creating the infographic to then, again, go along with a proposal to kind of show the flow of that proposal. I want it to be, formatted for the construction industry or the roofing industry, and then it'll kind of take that and use that to format the, kind of images or the drawings or however it's doing within that infographic. So that's another great way to use the infographics. How have you used it?
One of the things I've been doing with it is proposals. I've been generating an infographic for proposals. So it's a quick overview, which is really good. Combine that with a quick audio brief, and then the proposal, people can really engage quickly with it. And I find that really, really insightful. The other thing I've been doing with it is playing with I've got clients who they like a article, or they like, there's an article that's been written up and it's that they want to talk about. So what I'll do is I'll take that article as a link, then I'll create an infographic with their branding colors and guidelines. And then I'll go and create another one with another client's branding colors and guidelines. So there's a difference of output, but it's the same messaging and with their own brand. Because we've got some partners that work together, but in the same industry, but they don't want to use the same brand. They don't want to use the same look and feel. So they can put the same messaging out, but in their own brand colors and styling. And that's a game changer, because those guys really appreciate being able to do that.
And the one thing you'll notice, everything that comes out with like an image or a video or whatever, it's going to have like the Notebook LM branding on it, unless you're paying like their $200 some a month, right? That doesn't have the branding on it, but it's very easy to be removed. And, we'll see here, this one just finished up, good timing. So again, I didn't give it anything but use my colors. And this is what it came up with. A full-on mind map, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, maybe it didn't kind of put things in order, right? But, and you can see down here, Notebook LM branding. It is very easy to remove this in Canva. Download it, take it to Canva, use the magic eraser. It easily gets rid of the Notebook LM. I've probably been trained on millions of these now because people are doing it all the time. So it understands, hey, remove this logo. But you can see, very easy. The words, holy cow, like there's still some that, will be jumbled. So there's still some things where if it says something I don't like it, again, take it into Canva. You don't have to like redo the whole thing. Take it into Canva, use the grab text function, grab it, change it, and then correct it. And it's very easy. Now, this is the complex, the detailed. You can simplify this if you really wanted to. If you're trying to send it to a client, you probably don't want to send this whole thing to him. But if you're trying to do something internal, this is perfect. So it really depends on your actual, and you can.
As a variation, Dave, can you close that, do and generate another one, and use the simple as a
So
demonstration.
the concise, yeah, let's do a concise,
Yep.
and let's just do again brand colors. And here's the other thing, like with, and I got to do this, but like with the whisper that we were talking about before, you can actually create things that, and this is again off topic, but you can create snippets that you typically say a lot and just say that one word, and then it'll drop it in. So like if I wanted to say, you know, insert my brand colors, and brand colors is my keyword, it'll just insert my hex codes if I wanted to do something like that. So it's pretty cool if we're talking like the audio, because you can do so much more audio versus texting. So let's see this. Yeah, this kind of generates. We'll see the difference of the two. But so infographics are great. Go along with an article. Go along with a proposal, a social post. Like infographics are probably the number one way that you would be using a notebook if you're using it for your marketing or your outreach.
Or even just explaining proposals and just simple concepts and training materials. There's so many use cases. Infographics are one of the most frustrating things from a graphic designer point of view, because there's so many ways to make them and they take so much time. So this is just so amazing. You can do it so quickly.
And so what I was trying to find, and I need to figure it out, was like a list of the different types, right? Like you want like neo Gothic, or, you know, there's so many different ones that you could use as a type of infographic. And then you just prompt it. You just say, hey, I want it to be in this type. Now, while it's creating this for the comparison, the slide deck, again, you can edit the slide deck, again, be seen. Do you want it to be detailed, or do you want it to be more like you're going to present it for a presentation? Use slides. Do you want it to be short, or do you want it to be longer? And then kind of, again, give the detail of what you want the outcome. Build your notebook with all your sources, like you did some research, or you use Gemini to give research. Build it in, you know, and then, hey, say, here's the main objective I want to have out of this presentation. Provide me with, you know, 10 slides. You know, or I need the presentation to last 15 minutes, whatever it ends up being. But just, do you remember the first slides that you could probably create on ChatGPT? They were disgusting.
Oh, that,
you know, there was some word, you know, there's nothing there. Like there was no engagement, and they were just, it took everything they wanted to say and threw it on a slide deck. That's not how you make slides. Slides are supposed to be topic based. You know, hit the point, 100%. And the presenter's talking about those points. They're not. You're supposed to be reading off a slide. That's the worst thing you can do as a presenter. And so this is pretty cool. Do you use slide deck for anything right now? Or?
I have. I use it to quite a lot. And what I've found is most of the stuff it produces is actually okay. There's occasionally some hallucinations or something which doesn't quite make sense. And when that happens, what I found is I might have conflicting source material. So you have to remove the source material. There might be something in there that it's getting confused by, that's giving you that output. The other thing is, a little trick I learned, when you download it, it downloads as a PDF. Grab that PDF, drop and drag it into Canva. Canva will then put it in as a design in your uploads. And when you go and create new presentation, it'll create a new presentation, click on design, the uploads, go to the design and apply, and it'll automatically create it as a multi-page presentation for you.
Right.
Which you can then download as a PowerPoint after you've edited it, because one thing that it's really, really bad at is it loves to make up logos.
Yeah.
On slides.
For sure.
It's just like putting random logos halfway through. And you're like,
well, the one thing I've actually noticed with the video I just did, put your logo in the source. So I did a video of this with the proposal, and I put the logo as a source file, and then it actually used my actual logo in the video at the end. It was one of the images on the end. So if you don't want it to make up, actually give it your logo. That's why it makes it up, because it's like, hey, I want to put a logo here. I don't know what their logo is. I'm just going to put something. So if you have it as your source file, it'll actually add it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But in saying that, like, I've put in proposals which have the logo on it. It'll put the proposal, it'll use the right in slides, it'll put the right logo in the start and sometimes throughout. But over the 14 pages, it'll just start making up random logos as well.
Okay. Well,
and then I can go through Canva with Magic Eraser and get rid of it.
Yeah. The other thing you could do if you're talking about slides, as we already talked about, right? So in your chat, have it create the slide presentation, right? With the slides and the overviews of what each slide you want it to be. Again,
that's really
create a note, put the note as a source, and then use that with the source documents as a slide deck. You know, and
Remove
so the more information you give
guesswork.
it, yeah, you do less work. It's not guessing. It's not trying to make it up on its own. You then can review it. You can edit the note if you want, and you know, change things if you need to change, and then give that to the actual AI, and it'll create it. So let's see this simple, concise
Yeah, let's see what the
info
difference.
it just finished up. Yeah, so you can see very simple versus the more detailed, you know, and then they're now in order. You know, like, hey, here's the order that you should be, you know, focused on: systems over willpower. And you can take that, you can use it internally. You can use it as like a summary of that video if you wanted to, you know, share that video and talk about it and say you've seen it, and you can share this you know, infographic with it. Let's say you're sharing it with a client of yours. You're like, hey, I just saw this video, I thought of you. Here's a quick, you know, kind of infographic as a background for it. You know,
isn't that clever?
Very, and as you can see the text, there's nothing here that I would want to change out of this text. It's perfect. It's formatted correctly. There's nothing here I would change. So it's perfect. And then the data table, I haven't really done much with. The last thing here.
Give it a try. Hit the data table. See what it does. It comes up with random stuff. What I find is if you've got heavy data-driven content, it's good.
Right. But this is where also, like on the financial side, like if you have, like, let's say you have a lot of raw data and you have a lot of Excel spreadsheets, or you have a lot of Google Sheets, you can drop those in as sources, right? Go to the data table, and I haven't used this yet, but this is where I've seen the use case for it. Give it, right, in the edit, tell it exactly what you want it to pull out from the data source, and then actually tell it how you want it to format it. Hey, I want you to pull, you know, this much, right, in the rows, and this is how I want you to format it over the columns. Maybe it's the number of months. So, you know, you could have a lot of raw data, like you were saying, and then turn it into a table. So let's see what I mean, this just takes concepts. It looks like it took the actual concepts and turned it into a table, which is interesting.
Yeah. And this is where I found, and what it does is it comes up with not in the source material on some things. So it'll come up and make references to source material. It'll give you data. It's pretty interesting what it can do, but it depends on your data, right? I think if you've got some really, like we said, raw data, spreadsheets, stuff like that, it'll probably come up with a lot more interesting methodology. But even this, it's broken it down into something which is probably quite useful for some people.
Well, for I watched this video, and so like the stuff it's talking, the application pulls out from the video. The success metrics he talked about in the video. So like, this is actually, I mean, this could be another thing, you know, breaking it down into a quick sort of project flow. You know, if you're doing a proposal or something like that, turning it into a table where it's a flow that can be either then turned into subtasks. Like you can then take this, put it into like another, like a Gemini or, you know, a ClickUp, whatever you're doing, and say, here, I want you, here's my stages, here's the project. Turn this into either main tasks or subtasks to then break that project down into manageable goals and manageable steps. Could be another
100%. That is brilliant. I think you're right. I think, like, and what we've just discovered here is you and I back and forth having a conversation about just Notebook LM and what the functions and the features are. We're using it in different ways and sharing how we're using it and go, oh, I want to try that. You are, as you're listening, are going to find the same thing. There are so many use cases with this. It's phenomenal. There is people out there. When I first heard about it 18 months, almost 2 years ago, I was making podcast episodes with it, with direction. I'd upload stories and stuff like that I'd create. And it was really good. Very convincing. And if you listen to any of those audio files, there's a lots of ums, ahs. They talk over each other a little bit sometimes. It's very realistic. It's not that sort of robotic sort of nonsense. Yeah.
One thing I want to add to that, because I can't believe I forgot about this feature. So when you create, you can't do it with the briefs, okay? But if you do a longer version, let's say I just want to play it. This is probably not going to play. Can you hear it or no? I don't know if you can actually.
Nothing's playing yet.
Okay. It's playing in my ear, but I don't know.
No, we can't hear it here.
Okay. But it's playing, but then you can actually go interactive with it.
Oh, I saw that.
Actually, yes. So you can be listening to it. Okay. Listen to what it's saying. All right. And let's say you want to jump in and have it redirect where it goes. You can actually hit join and ask a specific question, and it will answer a specific question. So it's custom. So I can hit join, and now I can, hey, it just said, hey there, what's up, right? And so I say, yeah, I'm in the financial services industry. How can I apply this to my business?
And now it's playing.
Now it's answering to my question.
So imagine that as a training tool available to learn about something, or asking objections in preparation for a meeting you're about to have. Incredible.
Prompt your audio. Yep. Prompt your audio. Say, hey, I want you to be my client. And give everything you know about your client, everything you know about their industry. I want you to prep an audio, and in terms of their objections, and then you can play it and interact with that and hear how it would interact with you. There's so many different use cases you can do that for.
Oh, 100%. I think anyone who hasn't played with it, you can play with the free version of this, and it's actually pretty powerful. Lots and lots of functionality being added over the last few months. It's only going to get better. When you start looking at, it forced me the other day to go from the regular Google Business Suite version. I upgraded to the enhanced version for about $30 a month, something like that.
Right.
And then I got access to all these other tools. So Nano Banana now works natively inside of Google Slides. So I can make presentations and get Nano Banana to help me generate stuff, which is effectively using some of the Notebook LM feature set. Flow, I could do video creation. Some of that functionality is flowing through from here.
Right.
There is just all these different functions and features that are in the ecosystem that Google is offering now, which is just very, very helpful. And I am very heavily involved with ChatGPT on a daily basis still, but I'm finding myself using the two platforms. And after what you've just showed me, I'm leaning, I think I might become more of a Google centric as well. Because there's just
I made the shift from actually being Microsoft for the business, right? For my entire life, I've never been a Google user, to now actually understanding and using a lot of this stuff and understanding how everything integrates to make my life easier in terms of efficiency. I just last week made the shift to fully Google, Google Gmail for business, all of that. And again, just like you, I did the upgrade in terms of the enhanced AI functionality as a business aspect to just add more value. So love it. But hey, man, we're at that time. So if you, I can't believe it's already been an hour and 50 minutes. Besides me arguing with a DM, or what is it, a BCA or an MCA broker, this is probably our second longest episode. If you have questions on Notebook LM or your specific use case, how you could use it, drop them down below in the comments. Send us a question, send us an idea, anything, and also share down below, how are you using Notebook LM currently in your business, and how do you see yourself using Notebook LM in your business moving forward? And if you made it this far, again, I think the biggest thing for me that I want people to take away from would just be trial and error. Just get in there and use the resource, figure out how it can work for you, and then utilize it. Be a little bit more efficient. If you're struggling with idea generation, there you go. Put in your topic, put in your business information. Help me talk about my business, and it'll give you strategy. Give it some back end, who do you follow? Who is your mentor in terms of video watching, right? Who do you listen to the most as your kind of guiding light? Take their videos and drop it in here, and then use that. You use their content to then guide the actual direction of where you want it to go. So
you're basically building a brain within each notebook,
right?
And you can have hundreds of notebooks depending on your plan. So you can have a notebook focused on different things.
Right.
And it's like having a little brain that you can go in and work on certain projects.
And on the free plan, I think it's 50 sources that you can get. But I saw this other hack from one of the videos. So again, if you're using the free and you're only limited to 50, you can grab all your sources, have it generate a complex, detailed report, turn that into a note, and then make that your only source, and then delete your sources and then upload another 49. And now you can get more than 50 if you're on a free plan, so there's definitely some hacks. If you upgrade, I think even to the next level, you can go from 50 to 300 sources in one notebook. So that would be what for you, Dwarn, what's the one thing that you hope that they walk away from today?
I want you guys to try and experiment with Notebook LM. Everyone I've shown and demonstrated in the last month or two, Notebook LM has walked away with some ideas on how they can use it. And they've walked away with some different concepts to what I've thought about as well. Every time I talk to someone, they're like, oh, I could do this with it. Oh, that's a great idea. It's really clever. It's very fun. And it's interactive. So talk to other people about it as well and see how they're using it. And yes, you might be removing the Notebook LM watermarks, but if someone asks you, how did you do this? Tell them Notebook LM. Because the more people using the platform, the better it's going to get, and the more functionality it's going to get. And you might be surprised. They might share some ideas that they're doing with it, which you hadn't considered, like we've had on this episode today.
Love it. Well, sir, I hope you have a good one. Thanks for joining me. If you made it this far, we love you all. We love you for watching. Hopefully you got one or two tidbits out of this. So if you have, feel free to give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun algorithm-y stuff that they want you to do, and share it with your network. We love you. We'll see you next Friday. Dwarn, have a good one, sir. Enjoy your weekend. And for everybody else, we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, Dave. See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.